All right, I'm going to let everybody in.
All right.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Tony, how you doing, man?
Good. How's your Sunday?
So it's been a productive day, and for me, on a Sunday, that's something.
That's exciting.
It
Hey,
is.
Jeremy.
How's it going, Tony?
It's going good. Going good.
I like your background.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
A little busy.
Oh, that's a good thing.
Nah, you're on fire, man. What can you say?
So is Ethereum, so it's all good.
I see Ethereum's got record-breaking highs again hitting today.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty
Crazy.
crazy.
It's crazy. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was 100,000 in a couple of years. It's nuts.
It'll get there.
Yep, it will.
All right, guys. So who's running the show? Tony, Aaron, Carl, you guys doing this thing?
Well,
Let's
we
do
can. We can if you want, but we're here to learn. We're here to be teachers tonight.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
So
I
welcome
asked-
on, everybody. So as you can tell, the special guest is Mike Klingler. He's the expert in how the online marketing stuff works, but he offered to give us some special, one-on-one training to those who are actually doing something, right? So everybody on here was personally invited because you took a little bit of extra time to let me know what type of activity you've been actually doing, what type of recruiting, whether you've been, posting on Facebook, what you've been doing to build your team. And that's mostly what we're going to go over today. It's kind of the next steps. So this isn't the general training. Everybody has the opportunity to follow along in the Facebook group and follow along with all the posts that we're doing, etc.
Hey, Jeremy, Mike.
Hey,
I'm having trouble getting on here. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay.
yeah, who is this?
This is Richard Redland, Mike.
Oh, yeah, Richard. Okay.
Hey,
So,
Richard.
Yeah,
My
we can-
internet connection is stable, unstable.
well, we can hear you really good. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you great, but all I see is your profile pictures.
Oh, I don't know if he's showing anything yet.
It may just still be connecting, Richard. So we can see Mike's screen, but
Well, I just see the click open Zoom US.
That's all I
Well,
see. Yeah, I think
meeting.
that's all we got.
yeah. That's all it's
Okay.
up.
All right.
So anyway, without further ado, that's really what we're here about, is kind of what does it take to get to the next step? There's been a lot of things that we've been talking about in terms of how to respond to those who are responding to your boosted posts. Lots of good information. So
So, how's everyone doing? Give me a wave, just a wave. All right. So guys, something kind of funny, and it's not comedy, it's real. But I'm looking at like the list of to-dos for me, and this isn't my full to-do list, but this is like the most serious one for me. And you guys are gonna laugh or think it's silly, or not understand why I'm even sharing it with you. It's like, if I can nail this, I know that I'll make another 600 grand in the next 6 months with this. And this is the list. And so I'm going to share it with you, and you can take from it what you will. And at first it's going to seem really weird and off base, but it's real. So I should share it. And then we'll get into, probably more what you want to hear. But before I share this, and on the top it says must, so I should like show it. I don't know if you can see this. Can you guys see this at all? I don't know. Like, that's my chicken scratch. My kids laugh the way what my writing. It says musts with arrows pointing at it. And you're gonna laugh, but I'm not kidding. Like this, like if I can nail this, the results that I'll create, which means you guys are gonna all benefit tremendously too. Like the more results I create, the more results you guys can all create, as long as you're doing something. And it's going to seem weird to you, but okay. So number one, go to bed at the same time. Like this is seriously what is the
'cause
hardest
it
stuff
sets
for
the
me to
goal.
work on. This is the hardest stuff for me to work on. The marketing and all that stuff, it's like easy peasy, and we'll talk about that. Like that stuff is so ridiculously simple and easy to me. But what impacts my results profoundly is me just going to bed at the same time every day. I've never been able to do it. I've never been able to do it. But I know if I don't create a routine, I'm significantly less efficient and effective. And I understand the significance of this opportunity. And so I want to crank up my effectiveness because the rest is easy for me. The marketing and all that stuff. I mean, easy as easy can be. I mean, obviously it's challenging, but I know it like the back of my hand. And I'll share that stuff with you today. And I'm going to keep sharing it with you. And I keep trying to figure out, because some of it's so ridiculously simple. I'm almost like breaking my brain sometimes trying to think, okay, how do I explain this? Because I know it's simple once you get it. How do I explain it so they get it? Because it's life-changing and I know it's easy and simple. It's just hard to explain to get everyone there, like, because it just seems so counterintuitive, like, oh, like Jeremy, you know, he was kind of struggling with the traction marketing stuff. And then finally we were going back and forth and it was almost like a tension in the conversation because he was like frustrated and I was frustrated he wasn't getting it. And all of a sudden, bam, he got it. And the next thing you know, he's tearing it up, you know, because it's so, and he's like, this is so simple. And like a lot of this stuff is simple. Now, granted, making marketing funnels and stuff like that isn't simple, but I'm doing all the hard part. Or Robin Lynn, by the way, is the one working her tail off, doing a lot of the technical hard stuff right now. The rest is simple. And, but this is hard for me. And this is going to be what impacts more than anything else, how much I'm able to earn. So going to bed at the same time, and then I go same 30-minute routine before bed. So I'm going to try to psych myself up to actually like brush my teeth and whatever I got to decide that I got to do. I'm going to have a ritual routine. I've never been able to do it. I am so not routine. It's ridiculous. So this is the hardest thing for me, but I know that this will impact my results massively. Always a breathing exercise. Am I doing a cold? Oh my gosh, I threw in a cold shower. I hate those. A cold shower followed by a hot shower is what I said. I'm thinking that's going to help me sleep. I want to go right to sleep.
Let me know if that works.
Yeah, I will. Is it you want to do this too?
Well,
Or you're just curious.
Hot shower, a hot shower is fine. It's the cold shower I worry about.
Hi, the cold shower, man. I don't know if you guys have tried it. You know, they say it's all the rage, and I've been doing these cold showers, and I turn it down ice cold. Man, that's painful. I literally have fear when I try to go do those cold showers. It's the funniest thing. But cold shower is how I'm trying to wake myself up, and it works. And the hot shower is supposed to put you to sleep. And then I write, do things that make you sleepy. So we'll see what way. And then no electronics. That's a big one for me because my habit is grab my laptop. You know, I just can't put it down. I just can't stop doing it. And they say the light on the screen will really mess you up. And then number two, so that was number one. Number two, always wake up at the same time. I could go on. Number three, no caffeine after 9 a.m. Number four, no sugar - low sugar. Like I put maple syrup in my coffee. That's going to be a tough one for me. Number five, personal development YouTube videos. So I'm trying to make a habit every day, like start my day, like tuning into, there's so many good ones out there. It's crazy. And then I got run and weights and all this stuff that I've been trying to get myself back to for about 5 years. All these things that make my brain sharper, that allow me to think more clearly. I want to operate like a clock for the first time in my life because I know, because I'm more of a creative person. I mean, and I've been able to figure stuff out and problem solve the marketing world fairly early because of that. But now this is going to be the stuff that impacts. It's just funny to me when I think about it. Like other people might think that's so silly, but these things is all that's left for me to reach my A game. It's it. It's crazy when you think about it. So the other stuff that you guys feel like you're missing or you need, like I know that stuff so well, I don't have to think about it. But I do have to think about how do I explain it? Because the stuff that's left to do really well with this program, and we're coming out with the marketing funnels, and that will help massively. But again, like I was sharing with Jeremy, and I've been saying to you guys, just having the marketing funnels alone, if you're not doing things now to get into the groove, to get into momentum, to be doing the right things as a habit already in place, the marketing funnel won't help you much. Generating leads doesn't help you if you're not doing these other things. And the attraction marketing I was teaching is a piece of that. I think Jeremy's going to share today something that he's boosting a post that's generating like 50-cent leads for him. It's crazy. I haven't been able to duplicate that, Jeremy. So that's another little secret behind all this stuff. There is no one way perfectly that everyone can exactly do. Like Jeremy might have a boosted post, and for whatever reason, Facebook's algorithms locked onto it and started disseminating it to just the right group, and the right people started clicking and engaging with it, which told the Facebook algorithms to share it with other people. And he just hit a little sweet spot. And Jeremy, I wouldn't turn that ad off ever. And he's just getting this insane result. And then all of a sudden one day they're going to tweak their algorithms and it's going to stop. He's like, what happened? And he'll be talking about the good old days for the rest of his life with his 50-cent leads off of a boosted post. So understand that he took what I taught recently, ran with it, and hit a little magic gold vein. And he should run with that gold vein as long as he can. Now, he might tell you today everything he's doing. He's taking a boosted post that I gave him, basically. I'm running the same thing. I'm not getting that result. When I just explained how and why that can happen. He can share exactly what he's doing, and you may or may not get that result. You may get good results. You may get phenomenal results. You may get not so good results doing the exact same thing he's doing. But here's the point. If you continue, he took what I taught and he started applying something. If you guys do too, you're going to find your little gold veins all the time. There's tons of them. There's tons of them if you're doing this stuff. Anyway, Jeremy will share that. Jeremy, yesterday we were talking and we were going over some stuff, and I was like, let's share that with them. Let's share that with them. Let's share that with them. So remind me of some of the things that I'm not remembering as we're going today. I would like to share my screen and show something though, if I can. Can I do that right now, Jeremy? You're sharing yours.
I'm not sharing.
Says you are. It says
Oh, you were.
But am I sharing mine? No. So one second, I'm going to show you guys something. So who knows, again, I have not mastered teaching this stuff, even though I've been doing it for 15 years, even though I believe I'm one of the best at it in the world. It's one of the most frustrating, challenging things to do in the world, to teach marketing, because the concepts are simple, but it's like people don't believe you, or they take what you say and they turn it into something else. It's the weirdest thing. And I don't know exactly what it is, but when I talk to other people that teach it, it's the same thing. I can tell you for a fact that all that's left to do phenomenally well with this is extremely simple, but it's your belief about yourself. And I'm not going to go down the mindset stuff very far. Just give me a second, because it's true. It's your belief about yourself and what you deserve. It's coming through, and it's translating what I say into something else. And it's just slight little tweaks that are sending out a message to the world saying, don't do this. It's not that exciting. Don't do this. I don't deserve to be super successful. It's really what's going on.
Before we move on, Mike,
we'll stop on the mindset stuff there. Yeah, go ahead, Jeremy.
so just to help everybody understand, it was very hard for me to understand why Mike was not able to share what he knows and what he does intuitively, until we got to the point where we were talking about gas prices and how exactly that works with Ethereum. And that's something that, as a programmer, I understood intuitively. And I realized that it was really, really hard for me to explain it to Mike. It was something that I'm like, what am I saying wrong? Or what am I not doing to be able to, make the light bulb come on? And we've had some of those conversations, and like Mike said, I know he felt that I was getting frustrated with him, and I know he was frustrated with me. Like, why are you not getting this? But there was always something little, as we kept going, the light bulb went on. It's like, oh my God, that was the piece that I did not understand.
And by the way, what were we talking about? We were talking mostly about the attraction marketing concept, putting the message out there, right? Like I kept saying, like, you need to, it's like so obvious to me, you know, and maybe it's obvious to you guys now. I don't know. I'm hoping so, that you got to put the message you put out there is everything. And like, if I go to your Facebook page and like, I look at what you're posting all the time, is it going to be obvious to me that that's speaking to your ideal prospect?
Yeah. And
And-
what was interesting was after kind of the light bulb went on, that I don't know if you mind, Kim, but I'll just use our conversation as an example. Are you okay with that? Okay. So once the light bulb went on, I was actually able to look at some of the posts that Kim was making just as an example. And all of a sudden I could see what type of person Kim was going to be attracting to her based upon the posts. So that was one of the things that we talked about, was just this idea. So I had this belief in my head that I should not be posting things on my Facebook because all the people on there were friends and family. They were people that I went to high school with. They were all these different people. And it wasn't enough to just hear, well, you know, you really need to do this. And, you know, if you follow along with what I'm doing, then you're going to have success. And I couldn't see it. I couldn't see how. So one of the light bulbs was just this idea that you're not trying to talk to who you're friends with today. And I still didn't quite get it. It was still not enough. I'm like, okay, well, I understand that I need to talk to the people that I would like to be friends with. I need to talk to the people that I'd like to be in business with. I can understand that, but it still wasn't enough. I didn't quite get it. And as Mike continued on the whole path of, now if you look at what post you're going to boost and why you're boosting that post, you need to have content on your page and on your profile that is going to be attractive to the ones that come in from those boosted posts. So somehow it was enough of a conversation that it kind of clicked for me that, okay, I'm not talking to the people that I'm already friends with.
right.
I'm talking to the people that might be attracted to me as I start doing some of these other things.
And Jeremy, if I could, I think a lot of people also don't understand how the Facebook algorithms are so powerful and how they work, that like you might not have anybody who's an ideal prospect who follows you yet, but the only way to get one is to start putting out content on your page that would speak to them, so that when one does happen across it and engages with it, Facebook now knows to show that to other people that are similar to them. And that's how it works. And it's pretty profound in how fast it can work, especially if you do boosted posts, because that's telling Facebook what types of people are attracted to your content. That's why the boosted post is so important.
Yeah, and it started making sense at that point. My next thought was, okay, well, I don't know what to post. Like, how do I know what to put on there that's going to attract the right kind of people? And I kept thinking about it and thinking about it. I'm like, okay, if I want to attract the right people, I don't want to just attract people like me. I want to attract people like Mike or like Jason or somebody who is a leader, right? So what it came down to was, the answer was, you need to post what you're doing. You need to post your process. You need to post, you know, the types of things that we would put into a Facebook chat to help other people. Those become posts, right? Those become the things that we share. And just by talking about it, it ends up attracting the right kind of people, the right leaders. You know, if you're talking to a team, whether that team exists or not yet, when you're talking to that team, it helps.
It's great. That's exactly right. You got to talk to the team that you want to attract. Obviously, and it's funny to me, this is what I mean by, like, I feel like it's a mindset thing, because obviously I know you guys logically know this, that, and that's why I said what I said earlier, Jeremy, where when you were talking about how Ethereum works or how gas works, to me, that's logic, you know, and it's, I'm pretty good with logic, but, you know, not as good as you for sure. And so you're explaining some of it to me, like, yeah, I feel like I'm 3 steps behind. This, though, the part that people aren't getting isn't a lack of logic. It's something else is what I'm getting at, which is interesting and makes it a little mysterious, like how to overcome that. It's more emotional in how you see yourself. I swear it is. That's what it is. Because it's not logic, but in how you feel. It's about how you feel about everything, you know, and like, but what my friends think, or who knows what it might be coming up, but it's emotional stuff. But, you know, all I can do is really speak to the logical, practical for the most part, so you can see what to do. And then somehow we got to work on, I don't know how we work through the emotional stuff. That's why they always say, like, get really clear on what you want. Because if you can get excited, if you got a burning desire, you're not going to care what your friends think. If you really believe, you reach out and you grab the life you want. It's like they're going to either come along for the ride with you and applaud, or you don't care. You know what I mean? I think the problem really is you just don't believe it's like something you can grab. So you're worried about all the wrong things, you know, anyway. So Jeremy, do you mind if I just show something really quick here? Because I know they're not, sometimes you put that kind of content out and I know that people don't see a lot of engagement, so they stop. It's like, no, you've got to, again, logically, doesn't it make sense that you have to work through that? Like logically, doesn't it make sense? Of course, you're going to put content out there and the team that you're aiming to attract back, they're not there yet. You need to realize there's a Facebook algorithm that you're putting to work. There's a process, of course, that you have to move through. Isn't that logical? And I guess people might be afraid that that process is too long. And so they stop early. And I don't know what they're thinking going to happen next. You know, but, you know, no, we don't know exactly how long it takes, but we know how to speed it up. Facebook posts, more content, you know, how much is too much? Good question. You ask, you know, like 2 to 3 times a day at least. What kinds of content? Can I do better content? Can I look at Mike's page and just kind of model what he's doing? Can I maybe get on a call like this and ask, hey, can you look at some of my posts and tell me how I can make it more compelling? Like if you get on the right track and you start asking the right questions, I promise you the process won't take long. But if you get on the right track and then you go, oh, it's going to take too long, and you don't do it for a week again, it's going to take, now it's never going to happen. But it's not going to take long at all. If you get on the right track and you start asking the right questions and you start trying to improve and tweak, you do your boosted post, you start looking. If you're not getting much engagement, you come to me in a webinar or to Jeremy and you say, is there anything I can do to make this more compelling? Like if you get your mind attuned to it, it's not going to take long at all. And you're going to leverage the Facebook algorithms and attract your team pretty darn quick. And Jeremy tapped in almost instantly. And, you know, once he got it, and now he's got a boosted post that's performing miracles. I mean, it's literally like, literally miracles. It's 50-cent leads. I've never seen anything like it. And you're all gonna find these little gold veins. That's what happens. That no one else can duplicate exactly the way you're doing it. There's just so many things that start working for you when you're on this path. So I think the biggest concern is people think it's going to take forever. And it will if you're living in it's going to take forever, because you're not going to do the right things. Like you're not going to be consistent. You're not going to ask the right questions. You're not going to commit. But when you actually go, okay, this clearly works, and let me just commit to this and just move forward as if it's definitely going to happen. And let me improve my posts and stuff like that and ask the right questions and see how I can make it more compelling and try another Facebook boost post. Not just try one and it doesn't work and oh, I'm done. Yes, it doesn't work. It's just such a silly thing to me. Like it's illogical that would work, to go into it with that kind of attitude, that would be enough to live your dreams and have an instant success. Like obviously you might have to do a few different Facebook posts. Obviously you might have to ask a few questions about how can I make my post more compelling? Obviously you have to be consistent every day. It's just logical that then perhaps you're going to find your little gold vein. Then perhaps Facebook algorithms have time to work. So it's all very simple. Jeremy has proven that when you step into it, it works. Lynn Haynes here. I don't know who she is. She reached out to me today and she said, hi, hey, Mike, I never heard from her before. I'm interested in taking a look at what you're doing with Bitcoin and Ethereum and your system. Could you send me the details, please? She was responding to, let's see here, if I can get to that fast enough. she was responding to a post that I did this morning, and about 10 other people responded to the same post. Now, the only reason why this post works is because I'm doing the stuff that I'm teaching you in between. So she was responding to this post. I posted a lot of content today. I don't usually post so much. Yeah, right here. It's not too late to earn tons of Bitcoin and Ethereum. I collected 20 BTC from MDC last year alone and over 8. So you might think, oh, but Mike, I can't say this. Guys, people are going to be excited. I think people tend to be like intimidated by the results that I get. People are going to be excited when you say, you know, I can't believe it. I got 0.3 ETH in my first 3 days, or I can't believe it. I've made 3 Ethereum. Now, again, some people are going to say to themselves, well, I can't say that, Mike, because yeah, I made 3 Ethereum, but I spent it on upgrading to new levels. So I can't say that. It's like, okay, that's definitely an emotional issue. You received it in your wallet. Like, obviously, this is the way the world works. You put your best face forward. You know, you don't talk to, when Toyota's selling the car, they don't talk about in 1994, a bunch of people died because the brakes didn't work on a whole bunch of their cars. I mean, it's true, but they don't share that part of the truth. Like, you don't have to share the whole friggin' thing. You share the piece that gets people in. Toyotas this year are fantastic cars. Here's what they do. And that's what you focus on. Now, obviously, when people come in, the webinars and all that will explain everything. It will explain all of it. But on the front end, you guys have to really learn how to promote the best news. If you made 3 ETH in 3 days, it's friggin' amazing. You don't have to worry that, oh, but I spent it on upgrading, so I can't really say that. It's just an example of the kind of hangups that I see that people have that really says, I'm not worthy of the success that all the other business people and all the other entrepreneurs in this world are experiencing, who are okay leading with good news. Because everybody who's having success leads with the good news. And the people who don't, I notice there's a lot of, they're very timid about that. And there's a lot of hangups around it. You have to learn how to focus on the highlights, lead with it with enthusiasm, without guilt and shame. This is what I see, guys. I'm seeing, and our community is like really famous for it. You know, there's a lot of really hypey promoters out there. You've probably seen a lot of them, and they're even kind of exciting, but if you've seen enough of them, it starts to get old. But a lot of the really successful people in the online space are extra hypey. And you've seen the Lambos and everything else. It's done in different ways, you know, but they tend to attract people that don't have these kinds of hangups. I think because I promote in a way that isn't very hypey, I tend to attract, is something I've noticed for many, many years, a lot of people that have a lot of these hangups. You know, like the people who promote with the Lamborghinis and the Ferraris and a lot of the silliness and a lot of the BS and not a lot of depth to the message, they tend to attract people who have none of those hangups. Now, they lack depth, they lack meaning, and they lack a lot of things that create sustainability, but they don't have these hangups. I tend to attract a group of people. So I share this with you because it's an observation I've made, and I think it might be beneficial for you to kind of look and see if this is you. I tend to attract a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people who have a lot of hangups, a lot of emotional hangups around self-worth and what they think they should be able to have, and they feel guilty for wanting a lot, and they feel guilty for sharing that, and so they feel hesitant to promote and to confidently and with exuberantly share the good news. And if they work up themselves to be able to do it once or twice, it's not a consistent thing. Guys, it has to become a consistent thing. And honestly, I think this is what the biggest challenge is for our community in particular, that a lot of communities don't have. Many do, but a lot of them don't have, who have no issue with hype and, you know, and a lot of the more shallow type messaging, you know, they don't have that challenge. Like, you know, they want a Lambo and they're not ashamed of it. So keep that in mind, that from my experience and perspective, that's the number one challenge in our community. And if you can get over that and you can start highlighting the good news, which obviously you've got to do, and you've got to do it with exuberance, so you can stand out and be heard, do it honestly, But it is honest. If you made if 0.3 ETH was paid to your wallet, it's a big deal, and you need to share that. If you had your team give you sales, like, oh my God, talk about it in 1,000 different ways and angles over many, many weeks, over and over again, in between a lot of value posts, which you can basically steal from me and just rewrite in a little bit different wording. If you didn't have a team give you any sales, but you've made some ETH, feature that. If you have people sidelined to you that have a great story, share that too, and keep inviting them to message you. Just this one post, you can't say, you wouldn't be able to say this exactly like I did, but you have successful stories. And on my very first day, and on my third day, and on my fifth day, I couldn't say this either. I said something much different, but I was still highlighting with exuberance and excitement and enthusiasm the positive things that were happening. And that's what I'm seeing isn't happening enough in our community specifically. And I think it's this issue that I'm talking about, where we do tend to attract a lot of people that look for meaning in life. And, their first thing they're going to do with all their money isn't go buy a Lambo. You know what I mean? But with that culture comes, a group of people that tend to be hesitant to share their excitement for success, and to focus on the good news and pass it on with excitement, for whatever reason. So look within yourself for that, because I really think that that's a place that a lot of people can find the gold. Jeremy, we talked about that in different ways. You want to contribute anything to that? I don't think I went to that much depth when we were talking about that, but we did talk about that. Is there anything you want to add to that, or?
The only thing I would add, I mean, I know you mentioned, like, we don't want to spend a lot of time on mindset, but that is one thing that I have.
I did say that, and then I just spent about 30 minutes on mindset, didn't I?
Which is great. I mean, that's
what's going on. It's what's going on. Yeah, go ahead.
So the only thing I wanted to add to it is the idea of, you got to recognize that the way that you say things matters. In other words, it's not just about, putting out I mean, one thing is don't promote all the time. You need some promotion here and there, but you have to also have valuable content and, talk about the type of people you want to attract and that sort of thing here and there is one of the things that Mike mentioned. But it's about the way that you're saying what you're saying, because I've read a lot of posts from, a lot of people in the group. And when I read it, there were like triggers. There were things that I was like, okay, that would probably not attract me. Maybe it would attract other people. And to some extent, you have to post things that are true to yourself and your own nature, especially when you're taking a post from somebody else like Mike. Like you mentioned, you got to rewrite it, and you got to rewrite it in your own words. But you got to be cognizant of what your thought process is. And one of the keys that I took from Mike was, you have to think of everything as if for a fact that they're about to start into your business. Like, for a fact that these people are going to want to hear what you have to say, that they're going to want to start with you. And that's part of that mindset is.
Well, can I add to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's that, but still with complete awareness that it might not be for them, and you're 100% okay with that at the same time. It's an interesting balance. It's like a confidence you might imagine if you imagine a young man approaching a woman that he wants to ask out on a date. It doesn't feel good if you sense that he is upset if she says she's not interested. And it could be subtle. It could be subtle, so subtle, but it's like, yeah. So it's a confidence to have the conversation without clearly being 100% okay and lighthearted about it. There's such a heaviness to the way most people are putting the messaging out there and prospecting and engaging. There's such a heaviness to it. You can just feel the fear that the person's going to say no in the way the message is shared. You have to truly let go of that inside, and we come back to mindset, right? Because the mindset impacts the messaging. You have to truly let go of all that and have faith that it's going to work, that it's going to happen 100%. How do you teach that? It's easy once you have it. It's not logic.
Yeah, that part is really, really hard to explain to people. I mean, I've read some and it was like, I take it as, you know, you're like begging somebody to join you. You can tell that you don't have a team already. You know, some of the posts that I've read, it's, you know, a lot of inside talk, like things that we know because we're part of the program, but those words won't be known by people outside of the program. You know, to some extent, you probably need some of that, right? I mean, you're talking to people that are on your team as well, or the people that you'd want to have on your team.
See
So,
again, I think people go there because there's other issues in play. It's like, if you're going to throw a party for your daughter because her birthday's coming up, it's like, you're not going to say it wrong because you're not afraid. So again, when I say it's not too late to earn tons of Bitcoin and Ethereum, it's like, we're going to have a birthday party tomorrow. Like, it's not complicated. You know what I mean? So I think that there's hangups that are causing people to overcomplicate the message. And to someone with experience looking at it, yeah, it looks like fear that it's not going to work for you. You know, it feels heavy. Make it simple. That's why I say you don't need copywriting really experience or knowledge to do well, but you do need to have 100% faith. I've shared with Jeremy, and I don't know if it's helpful or not. You know, a coach shared it with me, and it took me about 18 years for it to stick. But I'll plant the seed with you guys. He called it speak into existence what you want to happen. It's like, speak into existence. Like, what kind of mumbo jumbo is that? But now I totally get it. It's like, that's what's not happening with a lot of the messaging where people are struggling. They're not using their words to create what, you know, I want to say they're not using their words to create what they expect. But then I realized, well, it's because they don't expect what, you know, what I expect to happen when I put my words out there. Like, I expect it to work. You know, I got 10 people responding to this today. And like, if nobody did, there's a lightheartedness. If nobody had responded, I wouldn't have felt any pain. But guys, can you honestly say that if you make some posts and you get no responses, that you don't feel something negative? I know some of you probably can, but ask yourselves, when you guys do something and you don't see a response, do you feel something negative? Because if you do, it's probably coming through in the messaging itself. There's a heaviness. There's a fear that it's not going to work. And then it turns into no posts from you for 3 days. And then it turns into, sometimes I follow this, and then it turns into a week later, they're back to posting about kittens or how bad their day was. And then they wonder why it doesn't work. I'm not saying you're all doing this, but there's aspects to this that you want to look at. How confident, you know, and again, we talk about confidence. Confidence is faith. Confidence is when you speak, it's with the full expectation that people are going to get it. And when you truly get there, it's going to be simple language. You'd be using simple language like you would when you're excited to share with your family that you're going to have a party and where are we going to go and what are we going to do. You don't think about what you're going to say, and nothing that you say is complicated. Just like this wasn't. It's not too late to earn tons of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Like, I didn't even think. You don't want to be thinking very much when you create this content. It doesn't require thinking because I'm just sharing the excitement. It's just genuine. I was thinking about playing. We can go a million different directions with this. I was thinking about playing this audio that I gave. Would that be helpful, Jeremy? Where she said, "Hey, Mike, I'm interested. I don't know who this is, and I have an audio. I don't even know what I said, but it's generally the same every time." Would it be helpful to play this?
Yeah, I would.
Hi there, Lynn. Great to hear from you. Yeah, so it's been pretty incredible to say the least. I got started with this. It's an Ethereum smart contract. Got started in October, and I didn't even. So when I share the results I get, guys, like, you have to understand, when I share the results I get, again, you know that you are, you know that you're guilty of the things I was talking about. If when I share the results I get, you immediately go, well, I don't have those results, so therefore, like, I'd never be able. I didn't have those results on my first day either. The message was a little bit different, you know, but the point, I was taking the highlights at that time and sharing those. Even before I had any results, I was able to share with enthusiasm the highlights. So just keep that in mind. Like, you start from where you are. That's not the point. Although I know people who struggle, that's where their mind goes with it.
Start
Don't let it
marketing
go there. It
in
doesn't
any
matter.
serious way yet. Just people kind of casually reaching out. I am going to turn on my marketing funnels that we've been working on in a couple of weeks, and it's just going to be crazy. I'm going to double down on it. I made
You listen to that, it's going to be crazy. Speak into existence. Like, that's literally why, like, Elon Musk, you know, probably the pinnacle of this of our time, or at least one of that we are aware of. He spoke into existence SpaceX with his rocket company. He spoke into existence electric cars being everywhere. Like, before it existed, how did he know it would exist? There were a lot of experts who said that it wouldn't, who said that he would fail. They said it year after year. There was plenty of proof at times that they were right, that he would fail. There was a time where the $300 million he started with had dwindled down to nothing, and he was borrowing money from rich friends to pay the mortgage on his house because he had spent it all on this dream. There were plenty of reasons to believe it wasn't going to happen, but he was still speaking as if it would and believing it would. Guys, you can't succeed without that. No entrepreneur can. No one creating what does not yet exist can create it without speaking like that. So I just want you to notice, I said, you know, and that was before the marketing funnels came out. We're coming out in a couple of weeks. It's going to be crazy.
That's like the quote from Henry Ford. He said, if I asked customers what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. He spoke into existence automobiles, right?
He spoke into, exactly. He was, yeah, he totally just made it up. He made up cars. By the way, the first one he made was an electric car, by the way. Which is really funny. So, yeah. And I just wanted you to notice too, though, that I didn't say it in a way that that requires intelligence. It's going to be crazy, I say. It's just, it's funny how simple this is once you get it. And again, it's not logic, it's something else. It's emotion.
made over 800 Ethereum in about 90 days. And
So I know some of you are going, well, I haven't made that. Well, that's why they're joining. It's like, no, guys, that's not how I got there. I didn't make 800 Ethereum the first time I was leaving these messages. I didn't talk about that. I said something else. You take what you have and you blow it up. If I made 0.3 Ethereum, I would have said I made 0.3 Ethereum, a third of an Ethereum, like in a week. Like, I can't believe it. And it would have the same impact, guys. That's a lot of people don't realize. I just often get to big numbers because I'm doing the same thing when I have small numbers. It's not about the numbers, it's about the emotion.
team, just people that I've worked with in the past, most of them who've never been successful with much of anything. That's who I brought this to, because I have other projects that I'm doing, and I didn't want to bring this to distract people that were doing well in other programs I'm in.
So you could say all of this, guys. Have you looked around and noticed that a lot of the people that are making a lot of ETH haven't made a lot of money in other programs? I have. It's a pretty big deal. Are you sharing that? And if not, why not? It can't be because you didn't notice. I'm super curious, Jeremy. How would you answer that? Because I know that you've noticed that. And I know that people are noticing these things, but it's not being shared. And I know it's not a lack
I can't
of
believe it. I mean,
vaccine.
there have been a ton of people on the team that I know for a fact, because I've been in other businesses with them, that they haven't made anything close to what they've already made in this.
So stop. When he says that, and he says that on an audio or in a video or in a webinar or when he's communicating, isn't that compelling? There's so many compelling things to share that are truthful that you guys are all seeing. And all I'm saying is, if you notice, and you can ask yourself, you're not sharing those things a lot, like that could be a post by itself. There's so many things to share. It's ridiculous. It like really is, that are exciting and compelling and simple and obvious and truthful. So if you're not sharing those things a lot, and you have to ask yourself what's really going on. And I want you guys to ask yourself that and say, why am I not doing that? And obviously, until I start doing that, nothing much is going to happen, because that's the whole gig. Elon Musk was out there raising money and stuff because he was pitching his ideas and he was recruiting the top talent. He was pitching his ideas, guys. He was pitching the vision. He was pitching what he wanted to see happen. He was pitching what was the good news. He was pitching what they just accomplished. You guys have all these things that are being accomplished around you. You have all these things that are being accomplished that are really impressive for you, that you've done, that maybe your team's done for you, that you see happening around you. You could have so much to share. You have too much to share. You have too much good news to share. It's impossible to share it all, I mean. You could do posts all day long, and it wouldn't take rocket science or logic or anything. It would just take just sharing the good news. And so if you're not doing that, my question would be why? I want you to ask yourself, and then just ask yourself if you want to stop blocking the good news so that you can grow and just let it flow. That's my suggestion. Go ahead, Jeremy.
I was going to say, so I mean, there's two really good points from what Mike just went over. So the first one is, let me just ask you, do you leave the exact same message every single time?
Almost. I was going to have us listen to it again so you could see how similar it is.
Okay,
But it's
not always exactly the same, right?
No, not at all. there's a certain, I only got a minute, right, on each audio. So there's a certain number of things I want to run through, but no, it's different. I mentioned, I mentioned some good news points, but it's different, from one another.
So I think this is the one key takeaway from this, everybody, is marketing never ends. Like, this is a person that says, hey, I'm interested. And Mike is still talking about how cool it is, how great it is, how many things the team has done, right? He's still getting them excited, even though they're already excited to hear something. If all he did was drop the 2 links that are below those 2 audios, would it have the same effect?
It wouldn't do anything. Wouldn't do anything.
They have to hear from you. They have to hear your excitement, your story, no matter what it is, your knowledge of how cool it is, right?
If they didn't, why would the system require you at all? And again, it's simply sharing in your own way, not like Mike, in your own way. No one else does it like me. And there's a lot of people making just as much or more than me. There's a lot of people making almost as much as me, and they do it really different because they do it their way. But what they are doing is they're sharing the good news. They're sharing lots of good news because it's just like you guys have access to all this good news, and they're doing it, in their own way. And they're doing it a lot. Every opportunity they got, every opportunity I get, someone reaches out, I share the good news. And it's not exactly the same wording, but I'm sharing the good news for sure. We'll finish this off. Again, you don't need to say it the way I say it. That's not the point. But you do need to be somewhat excited in your own, there's different personalities. Some people might compare my expression of excitement to someone else's and think, well, that person doesn't seem nearly as excited as Mike. But if that's that person being excited, if that's what they sound like when they are excited, then that's good. It works. You need to be excited about what's going on, obviously. So I took it first to people that were really struggling. And collectively, I just had my VA added up. They've earned over 12,000 Ethereum, just my team. And these, you can say the same thing, my team. You guys know that? It's your team too. Like, again, that's why I think it's emotional. Like, that. It's your team. This dates me a little bit, but Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls that won this. How many championships did they end up winning? Was it 5 or? That team, that was Scottie Pippen's team. That was Michael Jordan's team. Everybody in Chicago said that's their team. But if you don't see us as your team, don't you think that that's probably going to significantly impact on an emotional level, how you see yourself here and your role here and everything that's happening here? And that's going to totally put distance between you and all the good news. It's what it's all coming down to. Aren't superstars. So let's listen to the rest of this. I'll share a couple links with you below. One's like a 5-minute promo video, that is important. It's foundational to help you understand the compensation side of it and how we're paid ETH and a little bit about the smart contract. But then the second link is a webinar. Right. You guys can say that in a million different ways. You know what the 5-minute video does, but you do need to take the time to say what it is. You know what I mean? I think there's some of that too not happening, where just take a moment to share what it is, what's going on. Like there's a 5-minute video below. It's just an overview. It's just basics. It's foundational. Show you about the compensation plan. Like I think there needs to be a little bit of like coloring in, right? When people share stuff, I notice they're a little dry sometimes on the details. You notice I didn't go on, but I did take a moment to mention what's in that 5-minute video. Very basic, very simple, but notice I'm always doing that. I'm always taking a moment to explain what it is I'm sending them, what it is I'm saying. You don't have to go on, but you don't just say, there's 2 links below, watch those, and that'll share everything you need to know. Talk to you soon. That would be too little. That I did, and I invited my programmer tech friend on. That's you, Jeremy. To talk a little bit about the significance of these Ethereum smart. So guys, do you realize, like, are you looking at it as colorfully as I do? And don't tell me you don't have the ability to look at life colorfully, because I know when you think of your children and you think of this and you think of that, it's very colorful, but you need to bring some color to this too. So for example, you could say, my friends and business partners, Mike and Jeremy, one of them's like this genius tech guy, and the other guy's like, pretty good marketer, and he made 800 ETH with this thing, so he knows what he's doing. They put together this webinar. I'm going to share the replay below, and they're showing this strategy that we're using. It's why I made X ETH. It's pretty cool. No one else is doing it in this company that I'm aware of, and they bring so much value to this. Be sure to watch that. Let me, if you have any questions or anything, I can put you in touch with them. You got to bring color to it, like you would, with family and stuff. Like, then it's real, but a lot of you putting so much distance between you and, let me just call it a family for a moment to drive the point home, or team, close team. You're putting so much distance between you and us. You're not using language that accurately describes the access you have. And you just sound like a cog in a wheel, and people aren't very drawn to that. But if you sound like you're with a group that's doing things, movers and shakers, and you're in with it, that's attractive. For contracts, it's really why Ethereum is expected to beat Bitcoin in the next year or two. Or these, I do. And by the way, there are a few little things that I do keep bringing up. And again, there's so many things, there's so many components of good news a person can share. But I will mention that I do constantly bring up Ethereum is a big one, and that a lot of smart people think it's going to be bigger than Bitcoin. And, so that's a piece of it. The ability to do coding over the blockchain. Anyway, this is probably one of the more advanced, if not the most advanced Ethereum smart contract to date. But guys, that's all stuff I cover in the webinar, right? So if you listen to the webinar, you guys could be repeating this stuff. Coming out of the opportunity side. So we won't listen anymore. You get the idea. I think that I've covered it well enough here, and we can dive deeper on future trainings. I could break this up and we could psychoanalyze like everything that I say, but I really want to get the point across that you don't have to say exactly what I say. If it makes it easier, we could break it down more. You guys can let us know, and I could script it out. I just don't want to see people reading it like a script, because what I'm trying to get across is there's so much good news, and if you just start sharing it, you're going to find your flow. You know what I mean? And it's going to be real, and it's going to have color, and they're going to see that you have access to people that are doing really, really well, and that's enough to be really attractive. As long as you're bringing those elements. Jeremy, any thoughts or, anything that comes to mind as I cover all that?
So one of the questions in the chat was, what should not be said to stay out of trouble?
Don't talk about how you just went to the bathroom. I mean, there's so many things you shouldn't say. But my point is, you won't say the wrong thing if you're excited and you're sharing the good news, and you're in full expectation that you're going to make your goal this year. You're just not. I'm sure I say things all the time that aren't ideal, but it doesn't matter, because go ahead.
Sorry. So, I mean, the one thing that comes to my mind is never talk about it being an investment. I mean, that's, I think the only thing I would truly avoid.
I mean, I would feel like that's a separate call though, right? It's a separate, I don't care if you talk about it being an investment, if you get 10 signups next week, and then I would tell you, stop talking about it being an investment. You know what I mean? It's like right now, I just want to see you guys like fully seizing this. Yeah. Like there's a whole bunch of regulatory stuff that ideally you wouldn't be putting out there, but I think we could cover that in a different call for those that are bringing a lot of people in. If you're not bringing a lot of people in right now, I don't know that I'd be too concerned with that stuff because no regulator cares about you. They're not going to care about you till you bring in about 500 people. And then you might, if you're doing it wrong, raise some red flags. It still wouldn't be enough, maybe 5,000.
One of the other comments was, building the belief is hard when a person hasn't experienced it themselves. So it still kind of lingers.
Well, I disagree. It's hard if you say it's hard. And I can prove that because I hadn't had any success or experience at one point in my life. So let me think back to that. I mean, it was hard, like when I was, not sure how I was going to pay rent, right? And my daughter was like not even 1, and it was scary.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
This is John, I made that comment. The reason I said that is because back months and months ago, and maybe this could be relating back to years ago when you first got started, for me, this has been a fairly new thing over the last 5 years. I say that's new. And so not working with people of your mindset and being exposed to your mindset and to others that have had this success. And like I just said a little bit ago, is I really like the tidbits that you keep putting out there. And those are things that I've slowly, and I wish it'd been quicker, but slowly to capture. And I find that when I'm posting now, it's far different than it was, say, 6 months ago.
Right.
And so that's kind of like quicksand, but it's a slow process of going down into the sand, if you will. So, and that's why I said this, because I have not felt the same experiences and the super belief that that you can. I've done $1 million thing in one day. I have no freaking idea what that feels like.
No, so John, this is what I was saying. I mean, of course, that's true, but just as true as that is before I had my first $1 million a day, I had never experienced it either.
Yeah.
I had to work really, really hard for a really long time without any pay to get that $1 million a day. And the only reason why I could was because I was in that belief state. So even before I ever had any big success to speak of, I entered that belief state. Now, it's true that for many people that's hard, and it's difficult for me to go back. I could do it if I spent about a minute here really meditating on it, but it's difficult for me to snap my finger and go back and remember what it felt like. I remember fear, but again, I was in a different place than you. You're more financially stable than I was then. That fear probably compelled me, right? It helped me.
Yes.
And so but now I can relate because now I don't have, I can't have fear because I also have that stability.
Yeah.
And you're right. I get to rely on some experiences that help me have that belief. But I think when you put the two together, when you put together the fact that, I had fear on my side, if you could see that as a positive, it could have also been a negative, but that motivated me to develop the belief, right? And to have that 100% belief that I was going to be successful back in the day. But it was challenging to face that fear and to develop that belief within that fear. And so from that perspective, I would agree it's hard, but it's also easy. It's also true that it's easy. It's also true that it doesn't require like a really high IQ or any like serious like problems to solve. It's an emotional thing. And I suppose emotional things are some of the hardest things in the world, right? Just looking at my own life and the mistakes that I've made. I mean, it was pretty much always emotional. And I probably would, it probably speaking for a lot of people there, that our biggest mistakes are emotional. So you could say, you know, it's hard from that perspective, but I just want to get across that you can't, like, it is in your power.
Yes.
And you know, and in your case, John, you have so many things to derive your confidence from. You know, like the success that you've had in your life and in your career, and the things that I know that you've overcome, and the skills that you've developed. There is a base foundational confidence that you've developed through those experiences that you can apply here instantly if you want to. You know, I mean, if you choose to. I mean, again, it's a decision, really. You know,
Yeah.
I definitely made the decision early on in my life to develop that belief and that faith. You know what I mean? It was a decision. I was like, okay, I have a choice. I can either be in doubt and question if I'm capable of doing this, and pay the price, you know, for that choice, or I can choose to pay attention to what I'm saying to myself. And whenever I hear myself share a thought, or I catch myself saying something that reinforces this story that I don't have what it takes, or that this might not happen, or whatever, I'm going to take an action, like an active, you know, I'm going to interfere with that story and be active in changing it. And I'll restate what I said, or I'll make that conscious thought change out loud in my mind, so to speak. And that was a conscious choice. And I knew that that would put me on a different path. And I swear, of course, I think it's logical that did put me on it's what allowed me to do what I did. And so it is hard in one sense, but it's also easy because it's all like just listening to your thoughts and listening to what you're saying. And you're responsible for that, of course, and then correcting it so that it matches what you want to create. Is that helpful at all? I mean, I think you kind of know that, but I think sometimes we have to say it out loud.
No, I totally agree with you. And again,
Here's the thing is, don't fight for the other perspective, because then you're doomed.
No, I'm totally up on the way what you're saying. I totally agree with that. And that's just like over the last I'm going to say this last year has really been a big learning curve for me in this world. In my professional world, it's totally different. I mean, I've had 40 years of doing other stuff, but this.
Yeah, but okay, awesome. But share with everybody what's some of the most dangerous jobs you've ever done? That a lot of people would be afraid to do.
Jumping out of a C-130 at 12,000 feet with an equipment pack going into a bomb-laden landing zone.
Yeah, you can't tell me that it didn't take a lot of faith to do that at some point. There was some point early in that process where, you know, you had to turn logic off.
No, it's like 180 out, but it's just like,
Very similar, John. It's very similar. And this is a heck of a lot safer. It's very similar. So
well, it's like I tell my kids, every jump I went on were night jumps because my eyes were closed.
That's funny. That's great. Yeah, I mean, but again, like you flipped a switch at some point to do some of the things you've done in your life. You flipped a switch and said, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to turn off fear and everything else, at least dim it down enough to be able to pull this off. And I'm just going to trust that it's going to work out just fine. And, you know, that's what you kind of have to do here. You got to speak and walk and talk and move as if you know that it's all good. Like you're going to do this. You're going to finish the mission. You know what I mean? It's like a mission. And that's exactly what this is. And I have a goal of $600,000 in the next 6 months. And I have no idea. I have no idea how I'm going to do that. I mean, I kind of do, but I mean, it's an incredibly challenging thing to logically see how I'm going to pull that off. And yet somehow I just like accept the mission and then I move to it. Like, for example, that's why I have this thing. I'm like, well, I'm not going to pull that off if I don't go to bed at the same time and I don't wake up at the same time. I just know I intuitively know if I don't do those things, if I don't eat good, if I drink alcohol, there's just a few things like a bottle of wine a week would kill this goal. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Simple little things. A little bit of laziness is going to kill this goal. So, and I'm in tune with it. And you know, a couple hours ago, I was really tired. I agreed to this webinar at 5, knowing my schedule's messed up. And I woke up like at 1 a.m. today. And now it's like 6 p.m. And usually by about 3, my brain just turns off. And I thought, well, today I'm going to jump in the cold shower and wake my butt up instead of like going to bed early and being stuck on this stupid cycle.
Yeah.
You know, and I threw myself in there. I'm like, this is the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life. But you know, it's the 600 grand in 6 months. I know that if I don't do things outside the ordinary, it ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
And so I've accepted the mission, and I've envisioned what that's going to require of me, and I get excited about it. It gets me motivated. So you have to do something like that. For each of you, it's different. For some of you, it's like, man, if I can make 10 grand in the next 6 months, you know, and put some ETH away that might multiply by 100 in the next few years, that's awesome. That gets me excited. Like whatever it is that gets you excited, you got to accept it as a mission. And then you got to do it just like John, like you decided you're going to jump out of that plane at that, you know, 12,000 feet. Like you're going to do it. Like there's no going back once you decide you're going to do it. And if you don't get to that point where you've accepted the mission, you know what the mission is, you decided what you're going to earn, you decided when you're going to earn it by, even if you don't really know logically how you're going to do that, but you've accepted it. If you don't get to that state, I don't know that any of this really ever happens. And it needs to get you excited. You need to figure that part out, or you're just not going to be motivated enough to follow through. You know what I mean? It just ain't going to happen. I don't know if that's helpful, John, but that's what comes to mind. Hey, and you're muted, by the way. There you go.
Yeah. No, sorry, I was talking to my wife. Yeah, no, it does help. I just wrote that down, finish the mission. I think that's a kind of that'll be a turning page. That's a good one.
And what is your mission? Like, what would you like to make in 6 months or a year?
I told the last guy I talked to before I retired a couple of weeks ago that next year, December, Christmas timeframe, I'd be a millionaire. So he says, wow, I've never met somebody like that before. Well, you're looking at one coming.
So there you go. So like, you know, but for that to happen, you have to think about it when you get up.
Yep.
You got to notice how fast your pace is when you get the coffee or whatever you do in the morning and go, this probably isn't the pace of 1 million by Christmas.
No, it's not.
You know, see, and that's how I measure myself every moment of every day that way.
Yeah.
Now, some of you listening are like, I don't want to live like that. Like, I don't want to measure the pace that I'm taking and go, okay, this ain't fast enough. I need to pick it up. I don't want that stress. Some people don't. So don't choose $1 million by Christmas, you know, knock it down to where, you know, it doesn't require a constant monitoring of your movements. But mine, 600 grand extra beyond what I've already made by August, which is my goal. It gets me excited. It's outside my comfort zone. I'm not quite exactly sure how I'm going to do it, but I know what it probably looks like. It doesn't look like sitting on the couch too long in the morning drinking my coffee. It probably means coming to my laptop immediately with my coffee. And I'm okay with that. That's what I chose, you know, and I'm excited to do it. I'm excited to see it manifest. So anyway, if it doesn't get you excited, though, it won't do it, but you got to believe it. So John, if you believe that, and then it will get you excited, and you'll be amazed at how efficient you are throughout the day. And you'll be amazed at how fluid you are when you share this with people. It's like, if you know that it's happening, it's quite remarkable how that impacts you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so guys, any questions at all? Maybe some of you have more, you know, logic-based questions. I tried really hard to keep it off mindset, but it's what it really all comes down to. So I just keep ending up there. I thought maybe I took an angle where it wasn't mindset, but Jeremy pointed out it was. So guys, any questions? Technical, pragmatic?
Let's cover a few of the technical things that we talked about, Mike. So
yeah, jump in.
One of the things to notice is that Mike is using audio, right? So if you're getting boosted post and your messages come into your boosted post, you want to talk to them real quick about how to get that into their personal so that they can do an audio?
Yeah, you want to show them that?
We could. You want me to do it?
Well, it will also, yeah, also, or do you want to do that for a different call? Like, show them what we went through last night about how to create an automated message in the Facebook page, and then, go over and leave an audio message in the profile. Maybe that's, kind of a training all of its own, because it's kind of a slower pace and doesn't quite cover the full gamut.
Training number 2.
Training number 2, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd like to know how to do all of that stuff.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
Okay.
Okay, so and honestly, I think we could just cover that. Jeremy, you and I on a Zoom will record it and send it out.
Okay. Perfect.
So guys, So Jeremy's got a boosted post going. Leads come in to his Facebook business page. We set up an auto message yesterday, so they'll get that automated message, and then he goes over to their profile, leaves them an audio message, so that he can start interacting with them there and do the audio, because he can't do an audio message from the business page. And what we'll do is we'll record, Jeremy and I, maybe tomorrow or the next day, we'll record a training showing where to go to set up that auto message in your business page, what we said, and then we'll kind of reiterate this path. Then you go over to their profile, leave an audio message, because that's more powerful from a relationship perspective. And we'll go over that in a little training. So look for that in the next couple of days.
Yeah. So that'll be the follow-up. So just to answer a couple more of the questions on the how to get started. So people are asking, where to go to boost a post, et cetera. So there is a difference between a Facebook group, a Facebook page, and your profile on Facebook. I know Kim did a training on that recently, so she's all over this. But the general idea is, if you want to boost a post, it has to be from a page, not from a group, not from a profile. And one of the other keys to really get started with all of this and start putting out posts that you can boost, build a Facebook page that looks like a profile. If you go to Mike's Facebook page, it says Mike Klingler fans, I think it is, something like that, Mike. But
Well, yeah, because it used to be called the fan page. Otherwise, I would have never been so whatever.
right, and mine says,
Let me
Jeremy
see.
James Marketing. I wish I had just put Jeremy T. James. I don't think it was available because I have such a common name, right? But the general idea is to make a page that you put the same posts on your page as you do on your profile, because
Yeah,
you
it's
can
pretty
only
much-
boost the ones on your page.
Yeah, I pretty much do the exact same posts. I mean, if I could, a perfect world, I'd do different posts, but I just don't choose to use my time that way. So I just do the same posts as I do on my profile. It's almost exactly the same. And you'll see the ones that have a lot of interaction are the ones that I boosted.
So how many posts are you doing a week, Mike?
I don't even know. I mean, you can go there and count them. I don't even think about it. It's just all like based on my creative energy, basically, when I have the energy to post. Today I went like crazy. But you can go there and count them. You guys should, if I were you, I'd be monitoring my page like a hawk just to steal my content, because it's definitely attracting some really good people.
How do you know we're not doing that?
I hope you are.
I guarantee I am.
But you do try to change the wording, because over time, Facebook could, I don't know if penalize is the word, but reduce the exposure you get if they see that too high of a percentage of your content's copied. So like try to change the way it's said, but still say the same thing. Hey, go ahead.
Some of my posts that I've tried to boost, I got a note from Facebook saying that I couldn't share and I couldn't boost it. That was like 3 days ago.
I've gotten that too sometimes, and there's really there's some guidelines that we can talk about that we'll do on another call. But
well, the question I have is when I went into my posting website, all of them now are boostable because it says I can boost them all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Facebook is half weird.
Well, it'll say you can boost it, Tony, but that doesn't mean that they'll accept it. So when you click boost, you set up the ad and then it goes through an approval process. So
Right.
they'll all say they're boostable, but you might not necessarily be allowed to boost it. I've had one turned down as well.
And just know Facebook isn't consistent either. You know,
Yeah, I noticed that.
yeah, it's pretty unpredictable. But that you start to kind of get a feel for what they will accept and what they won't as you go, for the most part. The post that Jeremy is boosting shouldn't be accepted, uh, but it accepted it when I did it too. So who knows? It's kind
Yeah,
of fun.
it didn't accept it when I tried it.
Yeah. So it could depend on age of the page and stuff like that too. I don't know. But again, if you practice these things, you're going to find your little gold veins for sure.
Yeah, that's one of the things too, is the Facebook page that I'm using, I've had for quite a while. So
Yeah, and that will help. So, you know, but again, if that's not your advantage, if you've got a new business page, so you don't have that advantage, you'll find other advantages. There's so many little advantages that you'll find if you're doing this, and you'll just run with what starts to work for you. Right now, Jeremy got a little boosted post through. It's getting awesome results. He gets to run with that, and that's going to feed him all the leads he ever needs, as long as they let him keep running with that. I tried the same post before I heard Jeremy was doing it. I didn't get the same results. I turned it on again. We'll see if I get the results this time. I doubt that I will. I just think the algorithms caught a certain something with a certain group of people that were engaging, and it started to spread, and it just worked. And that's just Facebook. And the point is, you will find your little, you know, your little advantage if you're doing these things. There's so many of them that crop up. Jeremy doesn't even need to look for another lead source right now because he's got so many for so inexpensively. And that's what starts to happen. You'll find all these little advantages if you just do this stuff. Jeremy, I got to get going. Do you want to stay on here and you know, and answer some of these types of questions and
sure, yeah, I can stay on if people have some more questions they want to ask for another, 15 minutes or so.
all right, guys. I didn't mean to put you on the hook for staying.
No, it's okay. I
All right.
appreciate your
Thanks for the
time.
info, Mike. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys. And we'll do lots more of these, and we can focus. You know, if you don't want to hear about the mindset stuff anymore, I told myself I wasn't going to do it. We ended up there anyway. All right, guys. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Guys.
All right, guys. So who else has some questions they'd like to ask?
Well, how much do you want to get into the Facebook part of it right now?
I mean, I can take some questions. I know somebody asked, can you promote on a different social media? Carolyn asked that. Of course you can. I mean, you can promote anywhere you want. The one advantage we get by doing this on Facebook is that, you're now attached to them with your profile. You already have, our chat groups are all in Facebook, etc. So if you get connected to new people through Facebook, then it's that much easier to, introduce them to upline if you need to, that sort of thing. So looks like you're sharing your page, Richard. Do you have a question about it?
Yeah, I have. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Can you just give a good example of a call to action on a boosted post? I'm not exact. I want to start using those, and maybe you could run through the process there.
So when I boost the post, the only thing I do, it's not even necessarily a call to action. I mean, the post could look like I'm just talking to my team, or it could just be talking about the marketing funnel that's coming. I don't even have to have a call to action that says, if you like what you see, contact me, or anything like that. What I do is I add a send message button to the post. And then that's what happens is they then click on that button and they send a message into my business page messenger.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, that's easy.
So
Thanks.
what message are you sending out? One that you're putting together, or one that Facebook already has?
So I can show you that real quick. This is what Mike was talking about. Let me share my screen here. So we set up an automated message so that when somebody comes into my messenger, what they see is hi, their first name. And it says, our team is generating so much Ethereum right now. We're just excited to show people how we're doing it. I'll follow back up with you soon and share a video and a webinar I did with my business partner. Remind me if I don't follow up soon. We have a lot of people reaching out.
Oh, okay.
And then I ask a simple question. Are you just getting into cryptocurrency now, or have you had Bitcoin or Ethereum for a while? And that's it. So that's the message that they will see. And then what I'll do is, like Mike said, I'll then go to their profile as myself instead of as my business page. So you see my business page is Jeremy T. James. My profile is just it's Jeremy.James, with a number, right? So this is my profile and this is my business page. Marketing done the right way. So this is Jeremy James Marketing. If you guys ever want to look at that to see what I'm posting. So I'll show you the post that I boosted was the same one that probably most of you have as well. Just got to get down to it. So this is that post with the, the crypto image. Just says in the first 12 weeks of our launch, etc. That's the one that I'm getting a ton of results from. And you'll see at the bottom of it, it has the send message button. So that's what they do, is they see this post when it gets boosted, and then they click on send message, and that comes into my messenger.
Okay. All right, that's great.
So if I go to my ad center, I can show you how that particular post looks. So here's where he was saying, so I've had 30 message conversations started, and I've spent $15 so far of the 20. So I'm doing $2 a day for 10 days. So far I've spent $15 and I've had 30 messages started with people. So that's 50 cents per lead, which is pretty darn good. So if we look at the actual ad, the way it's set up, so my audience is just people in the United States, 25 to 60, with interests of network marketing, Robert Kiyosaki, Russell Brunson, types of people that I want to attract are people that are interested in those areas. So then like I said, once they click on that send message button, which I'm trying to remember where that was set up. I don't see it here, but when you first create the ad, it'll pop something up and it'll ask you, do you want to add a button to it? And that's where I said yes, and I put the button on there. So it's not that you're sending them a message, it's just giving them the ability to send you a message. It just adds that button onto your ad post. So then what I do is I will click on their profile as myself instead of, like right now, I'm logged in to this page as my business profile. It says that when you come into the page. So if I go to myself and then I go to pages and I switch to my page, it says you are now interacting as Jeremy T. James. So if I do any messages, it's sending it as my business page, as opposed to sending it as me, as my personal profile. So all of those messages are ending up over here inside of the messenger area. So I've got this list of people that I've talked to, and so you can see the automated message that went to him. In this case, I wasn't sure what he was saying. He just said yes. This was a one thing or another question, but he just said yes. So I asked him for clarification. He said he's new. So what I would do, I don't want to interact as my page, as my business. So I would go to his profile, and I would then send him a message, an audio message, just like Mike shared. So Mike had a couple of 1-minute audios that say, here's some exciting things about us and our program and what it's done for so many people, and that type of information. And then I will come back here. So I haven't done it yet with this particular person. I'll come back here and I'll send them a message here that says, oh, by the way, did you see the message I sent to you from my personal profile? Go check for it there. And that way I can interact with him from myself. And when he's looking at me or researching me, he's now going to my regular profile page, which then leads to, other things like, my blog and stuff like that. So if they want to look into you, just looking at you from the perspective of the page itself is not necessarily the only thing that you want them to be looking at. But on my page, I'll have, so I have this post, earning Ethereum a day keeps the inflation away, put Mike Klingler, so it's quotes. If you want to know how, too bad. Just kidding, just try to put a little bit of fun into it. But these same posts are also on my personal page. So there's the same post on my personal page, but over here I'm getting interaction. People are actually seeing the post on my personal page, putting in comments, etc. I don't get that as much on the business page. So that's why I'm trying to connect to them from my personal Facebook Messenger, as opposed to just interacting with text only from the business page. Does that help, Richard?
Yeah, it does. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Who else has a question?
Well, not a question. I just want to review so I'm clear in my mind. When you add the button for messages, anybody that's interested is going to message, and then once they message, you're sending out the automated reply, correct?
Correct.
And that does that automatically, or do you have to send it out?
It does automatically.
Okay. And then you go to their messenger account from your personal page, not your business page, and then you're leaving an audio.
Correct.
Okay.
And part of that audio is, oh, by the way, we have, the 5-minute video, which explains everything. We also have a webinar that we did. Would you like one of those or both? So then they come back and answer the question of, typically they say, well, share both of them with me. And then what I do is I will share the links. So I know somebody asked about what links am I sharing. I hope everybody has the Forsage Getting Started page bookmarked, because this gets changed regularly. Now there's the step 4, for people to register, and the hierarchy is in here. The start referring people to the program page has some useful information, including a link to the calculator that shows the real prices. So if somebody asks you, hey, what's it cost to get to a certain level? You can click on that. If you're trying to figure out what exchanges to send them to, then you can click on the short list of international exchanges, so you can see what exchanges they should use in their area.
Oh.
But it says right here, have them watch these videos and get back to you. The team community page and one of the prospect webinars from the resources below. So I'll come in here and I'll right click and copy this link address. That's our community page. So if I click on that, that's just this page, the cash dash injection. Same thing as Forsage dash community, but this one doesn't have the word Forsage in it, which I like a little bit better. So you can get that again just by right clicking on team community page here and grabbing that link address. And then you'll post it in to them. And that's just this 5-minute overview video. And then the other thing I'll do is I'll scroll down here to the prospect webinars area. And this is the one that, Mike and I did. And this is the one that Mike shares as well. I'll just right click on webinar, copy link address. And when I paste that in, that takes them to this 45-minute webinar that we did. So those are the 2 links that I share with people.
Oh boy.
And then I'll send one more audio after I give them those 2 links. And I'll say something to the effect of, if I don't get back to you, feel free to reach back out. I'm busy. I've got a lot of people that I'm working with, that type of a message, so that they know I'm not going to just hound them. Like, it's on them to come to me and say, hey, I'm ready. I'd like more information, that type of a thing. So I can show you an example of one of the guys that I just talked to today as an example. See how far down it went.
Oh boy.
So here's an example. So I said, hey, Cade, since that was on my business page, I wanted to connect to you on my personal account. Easier to talk from here. Is that cool? He's like, yeah. So I left him an audio. And he said, yeah, I'm definitely interested in those videos. I shared the 2 links and my follow-up audio. And he said, it's interesting. How much is it to get started? Thanks for the info. I sent him another audio talking about, here's what this calculator page does. So it showed him the calculator to figure out what level he wanted to come in at. He talked about he struggles with getting referrals. And I talked about our team building process, how we can help with that, help with the training, etc. And he's like, okay, I'm thinking about, or he said, I've been a trader for years. I bought my Ethereum when it was 400. So I was just talking about, yeah, it's cool. I got mine when it was 300, pretty awesome, right? And he said, okay, I'm going to probably hop on the fast lane, right? I mean, it was that, what Mike showed you on his page is exactly what I'm doing on my page or on my messenger when I talk to somebody. Does that help?
Helps me.
Awesome.
So can you, is there any way to screenshot that and send it? What you're doing, and then we can put it in our own words?
I mean, the screenshot won't help because the important thing is that you're
Is
leaving
the
audio
audio.
for them, right? I mean, I'll play with my audio real quick.
Okay.
Nice to meet you. So you mentioned that you want a little bit more details on what exactly it is that we're doing. So can you hear that or no?
Not really.
No?
Just turn your volume up.
All right, let's try it different. Well, the easiest thing for me to do is, can you hear it now?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Cade, nice to meet you, man. So you mentioned that you want a little bit more details on what exactly it is that we're doing. So the easiest thing for me to do is I actually have a couple of videos that shows what our team is doing. So one of the videos is like a 5-minute video. It just shows the program that smart contract program that we're leveraging. And then I also have a 45-minute video that we did. It was back in November. It kind of needs to be updated, but it shows how our team is using a team building strategy to really take full advantage of this smart contract system and how we're doing that and how we've been able to generate so much Ethereum for our team. So yeah, just let me know if you'd like to see either one of those videos or both.
Yeah, that's easy enough. Thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah. So Mike's audios are a little bit better than mine, but mine worked. There's no script. I said basically the same thing. I explained what the 2 videos were, asked them a question so that they had to follow up and say, yes, I want the videos. All right, guys. So I'm kind of out of time now, but I hope you've gotten a lot out of this. Can you kind of give me a little bit of feedback? Let me know whether you think it was good or not.
Yeah, I thought it was great, Jeremy. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah. Look,
Good, Jeremy.
Good job, Jeremy.
Yeah, good job, Jeremy.
Did you record it?
I did record it,
Boy.
and we'll probably set up another one. There's so many things that we didn't get to. Some of the things that Mike's been helping me with, and we talked about that process, right? That it was very frustrating for him when he was trying to explain to me how to do this stuff. But he liked the idea that I had actually taken action, and I had, 30 some people to follow up with. And he was like, just so you know, those 30 people, I would have most of them signed up by now. I'm like, well, what do you mean you'd have most of them signed up by now? They're all in like various stages of watching the videos and stuff. Not all of them happen as easy as this one that I just showed you that happened today with Cade. And he's like, well, one of the things that I do is I will then, he talked about manifesting what he wanted to have happen with his group, what he wanted to have happen with his leads. And that also applies to how you then follow up with these guys. So if you've got some that are not ready to get started, like Cade was ready right away. I mean, first of all, you can use the fact that Cade's ready to get started, and you can go to some of the other ones and say, hey, I've got this great guy signing up right now. If you get your stuff together real quick, maybe we can get you in first and he can be on your team, right? You can do things like that. You can talk about, once you have a number of people in your pipeline, you can talk to all of them about, I've got, it's the same, it's always marketing, right? You're always marketing. It's that same concept. So now you're talking about what you're doing. So now you can go to your prospects and say, oh, by the way, I'm talking to 30 other people just like you. Those who get started are going to be in the best, started first are going to be in the best positions, So there's a lot of training like that I was hoping we'd get to tonight. So I'll schedule another training where we can really go through, once you get to the point where you have these leads coming in, what is the next step to start signing them up? So be watching for that. And Mike said he would help me put together kind of a training like what I just showed you, but in more detail. So hopefully we can do that and get that out to everybody as well.
Are you
Hey,
going to do it
Jeremy.
sooner than later?
Hopefully sooner rather than later. Yeah. And if you guys are doing this, I know I had a sweet spot and I had a bunch come in all at once, and not everybody sees those results, but it does happen and you got to be prepared for it. So hopefully we can get some information out so you know what to do when you start having those leads come in.
Jeremy, can I ask you a quick question? This is Sally.
Sure, Sally, go ahead.
Pam and I did a post today, boosted it, and didn't use the button that, to send a message. We put in the post to send message, but we didn't do the button. Will they be able to send us a message without the button?
I know it's a heck of a lot easier if the button's there, but yeah, they do have the ability to message you even if you don't put that there.
Okay, and can we edit it? If we go back in, can we add the button now?
That I'm not sure of. I haven't tried to, so I can't answer that. I'm sure if you just Google how can I add a button to my existing ad, you probably find something.
Because they did have some automated responses like, I'm interested in your business, I'm interested in your marketing or whatever. And we chose those that were created by Facebook, I guess, but didn't put a button in for them to actually contact us.
Yeah, I had some of those set up at first, and I was kind of wondering why I'm getting the exact same response from everybody. I guess Facebook did just set those up automatically. So I went in and set up my own auto reply after that, because I was like, man, they all ask the exact same question. That's really weird. But yeah, Facebook puts those messages in there automatically. But having that send message button has been, I think, a lot better engagement.
Okay, we'll find out if we can edit it and we'll let you know.
Awesome. Thank you. So, I forgot to tell you guys, and I'm glad this is on the recording. So, people that are on the recording will hear this. One of the things Mike asked was if you can just take one nugget from what you learned tonight and post that into the chat, we would appreciate that. So with that, I will wrap it up.
You want it in the action takers chat?
Yeah, if you don't mind, if you're
No, don't mind.
if you're still in there, or you can just send it to me as the PM. Either way, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, if we can get some of that type of information on the chat so that people are aware of, the types of things that you learned from this, then we can share the replay with them, and they can learn along with you. So again, thanks everybody for being on here, taking your time Sunday night. And I appreciate you, family, and we'll talk soon.
We appreciate you, Jeremy. Have a great night.
Yeah, we appreciate you more.
Awesome.
Amen.
Thank you, Jeremy.